Hi everyone, I'm Laura. I'm the occupational therapist with the Caring for My COPD program. And my role is really around all of the day-to-day activities that you need to do throughout the day, but also all of those activities that you might love doing. And recognizing that sometimes things might get in the way of doing those things that we want or need to do. And so my job is really around helping and supporting to get you back to some of those things. So today, that's exactly what we're going to talk about. This education session is called Leisure and Lifestyle. And what it really is about is doing those things that we love to do. And so with that, you will notice that I'm here on my couch drinking a good cup of coffee because, as most of our team will tell you, that is a love for all of us, is to have a nice cup of relaxing coffee. So please join me if you enjoy that too. So as I mentioned, this is all about leisure and doing the things that you love. And so we certainly find ourselves in a very interesting and, shall we say, we'll call it what it is, difficult time with COVID-19. And so there's an extra layer, right? There's an extra layer impacting on our day-to-day activities. And so you may have already found before COVID-19 that your activities were impacted by your COPD. And that's fair, and we hear that a lot. And then there's maybe that added layer of, it's not safe to go out right now. We need to be at home. And so that's really also going to impact on your day-to-day activities. And so I just want to give you some tips and some tricks to maybe build some more leisure in, to build in things that bring you joy. Because when we're thinking about our overall health and well-being and mental health, doing things we love is so important for how we're feeling. So when we're talking about living well with COPD, some of the biggest things that I hear, the two biggest things I would say, is having our symptoms well managed and under control. And the second thing is being able to do the things that you want to do without needing to necessarily worry so much about that shortness of breath, and being really able to fully participate in your day and in your life and in those activities. And so COVID aside, and so I'm going to talk about that kind of separately in a little bit. When we're thinking about our leisure activities, sometimes what people say to me when it comes to COPD is that, if I'm struggling with my shortness of breath with getting showered or getting dressed or doing the cooking I need to do, those leisure activities can be the first thing to drop off, right? And so I really encourage you to think about and to really reflect on this education session, to think about ways that we can build those leisure activities in and doing those things you love to do. So many of you may have already heard my energy conservation education session, and this one kind of goes hand in hand with that. And so when we talk about energy conservation, we're talking about how to use your energy most efficiently during your daily activities. And so there's a set of 6 P's that we talk about. Those are planning. So how can we plan our days and our weeks, spreading activities out so that we're not using too much energy all at once. The next P is pacing. So changing the speed that we're going at to do things a little bit more slowly, taking rest breaks throughout. The next P is prioritizing, thinking about what is most important today, this week, and this month, and kind of scheduling out to do the things that are most important on any given day. And so when we're talking about leisure, this is one, again, that I think we often might fall lower on the priority list, right? That there are other things that we need to get done. And so what I would encourage you with today is perhaps choosing when you're carving out your list for the day, and it doesn't have to be big, 5-10 minutes, whatever, carving out some time for you, for that self-care, for that leisure, and adding that into your priorities. If you find, you know what, I have a busy day and I have all these other things that I need to get done, then looking at your week and saying, okay, today maybe I don't have time to build into my leisure, but maybe tomorrow or the next day, that's going to be my top priority. Okay. The next one is thinking about positioning and recognizing that the positions that we're in can really impact on our breathing. So bending, reaching, standing, all of those things might make it more difficult in terms of your breathing. So thinking about, is there a way that you could change your position up to make that leisure activity a little bit easier? The final one is pursed lip breathing. And so that's again, that idea that we talk about constantly of breathing in through our nose and out through our mouth, and carrying that through the whole activity. So where I always encourage you to think about and start with this talk is really reflecting on what's important to you and what do you enjoy doing. What are you maybe not doing right now? And I know COVID-19 can really play into that. But by and large, what are those activities that bring you joy? What do you enjoy doing? And are you doing them? Are you maybe not doing them for whatever reason? And if you're not, or if you don't know what those might be, kind of reflecting on, would there be something new that I could try that's going to kind of change it up and give me a little self-care and leisure throughout my day? I know right now, as I said, with COVID, doing some of those leisure activities are not possible, right? I hear all the time, I love going and walking the mall and just kind of window shopping or shopping. And unfortunately, it's not safe to do that right now, right? Maybe spending time with your family is something that you enjoy, or your friends. But again, that's something that's not safe to do right now. And so I also encourage you to think about what are some creative ways that we can kind of mimic some of those things. And so when I send you this link to this video, I'm also going to be sending you a link to maybe some other things that you can try to build routine, build enjoyment into your day. There are lots of neat ideas coming out of the woodworks right now. Things like using video calls, so Zoom, FaceTime, WhatsApp, Skype, FaceTime, Facebook, Messenger, to, be together, even though we can't really be in the same building. And so as you know, I know that depending on when you listen to this will sound funny, but we're heading into Easter. And oftentimes families get together at Easter, right? And so thinking about, okay, could you each make your own meal at home, and then you all dial into a video call of some sort, and you all eat and talk together from your own homes while you're eating, and you share together. And maybe that's not something special that you just do for Easter, right? Maybe you carve that out a couple times a week to have a family dinner or a dinner with friends while you're all separate but together, right? There's also a lot of really exciting things coming out. If museums are your thing, you can actually go online and you can take virtual tours of museums all over the world. The same is true for zoos, right? You can log online and they'll walk you through the zoo, and you can see the different animals from the comfort of your own home. So I know a lot of those things are very technology and internet focused, but it kind of gives you an opportunity to do something a little bit different outside, being inside your home, but also having access to the outside world a little bit. There's also interesting things that you can try around, creating, like, if you enjoy pampering yourself, creating a spa day at home, right? Maybe drawing a bubble bath, lighting a candle, taking some dedicated time to put lotion on those dry hands from all the hand washing. Or if golfing is your thing, is there a way that you could set up a little putting thing in your basement or in your backyard? Really trying to get creative with how we can change things up to keep us finding some joy throughout the day. So I'm going to send you a resource list of things that maybe you could try. And so if you find, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to spend my days, maybe you could try something new from that list. And I would actually encourage that to be your homework from this session is to try something new and try it on. And if you try it and you say, okay, that was a flop, I didn't really enjoy it, that's okay. And right? And then maybe you try something else. And the exciting thing about this trying something new during this time is maybe you're going to find something that you love, that once we can get back out into the being in the community, we can adapt it and do it in kind of outside of our home too, right? And that's exciting. And it also gives us a safe place to try something where maybe we kind of hone in on what our hobbies are in the safety of our homes, and we practice it, and we find ways to manage that shortness of breath while we do it. And then again, once we are able to get out and about, we have a little bit more confidence around that, if that makes sense. Okay. Another big part of the leisure and lifestyle talk that we go over is really around that relationship with peace with others. And I think, of course, as I've already alluded on, we can't really be with others so much right now. I know our immediate families and partners we can be, but finding those creative ways to be together. And so I'm really so grateful that in the news they've moved the language away from social distancing and moved it to physical distancing, because we can still be social. We can still have phone calls. We can still have video chats. We can write letters to each other, which can be really fun to receive in the mail, right? We can email, we can send pictures of what's going on in our day, right? Really finding ways to be social while we have to be separate. Okay. Going hand in hand with that, we can also recognize that COPD can at times impact on our relationships with others. And sometimes that can be for lots of different reasons. So now we're kind of shifting back more to COPD and how that impacts on things. But thinking about, sometimes, well, most times our family and our friends and our loved ones worry about us, right? And so that worry can impact, of course, on our relationships, especially when COPD is there. So what you might find is that sometimes maybe friends or family, the dynamics of the relationship change. So maybe they don't understand that you might struggle with shortness of breath, and maybe you can't do things in the same way as you used to. And they might be in a little bit of denial. Or on the other hand, they might be overprotective, say, no, don't do that. We can't do that. Let me do this for you. And so I really encourage you to think about communication and how you communicate with one another, and being really open about what's going on. And it can start with things such as, what I learned in my COPD class today around pacing, or around trying something new, or around managing my shortness of breath. And you can even share these videos with your family and friends. And sometimes sharing more about what COPD is and the struggles that you face and what works for you and what doesn't can help them to know how best to support you because they worry about you, right? In the handouts that Haley sent out to you, we also include information around those leisure activities, really, right? And knowing that sometimes the things we love to do, we do them with other people. And so that can also impact on the relationship too, right? If those leisure activities are difficult. And so this can be an excellent time to try out something new that is maybe a little bit more doable, right? For you. So maybe, you learn to do a craft together. Maybe you learn to knit together. Maybe you learn to go mini golfing instead of once COVID is done, instead of going to a full golf course, right? Kind of changing up things that you do together and learning to do them together. Okay. The other piece is that certainly, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but if you have questions, please don't hesitate to call me, is around the intimacy piece, right? And recognizing that COPD can impact on intimacy and our relationship with our partners. And so in the handouts, I've kind of outlined some different things that you can try. Firstly, starting with really open communication about how you're feeling, what your worries are, what your partner's worries are. And then it also gives some strategies around applying those 6 P's around the pacing, positioning, pursed lip breathing, all of those types of things that you can try and kind of build in as you need to. Okay. Again, I do encourage you to reach out if that is an area of concern or question for you. But I do encourage you to think about and reflect back on those 6 P's, right? Around in general, for leisure, in terms of the pacing. Can you slow your pace to make it a little bit more doable? Can you take well-timed rests throughout? And maybe instead of planning on something, an activity taking you, say, half an hour, you spread it out and it takes a little bit longer. Maybe I encourage you to think about prioritizing and what's most important to you. Thinking about the planning of it, right? And gathering up everything you need for that activity before you get started. Positioning. Could you try something sitting down instead of standing up? And doing that breathing throughout. Okay, I am happy to brainstorm with each and every one of you, and so I encourage you to kind of think through what you enjoy doing, and I'm going to be giving each of you a call to kind of just chat through if there's any activities that you'd like to kind of brainstorm about how to make them a little bit easier. I'm happy to go over all of that with you, and we can do that together. But I think the first thing that I would encourage you with right today as your homework is to reflect on what you enjoy doing. Have a look at the materials I sent you about different activities you can try. And kind of think about, okay, what's one thing new that I could kind of try throughout this time when I'm kind of at home that's going to bring me a little bit of joy and social connectedness right now as well. Okay? All right, so that's an introduction to leisure and lifestyle. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.